That was one of the most rewarding parts of whether it's watching people play the game and react on Twitch or listening to people debate, like what their game of the year is and, throw Doom in the conversation, is the recognition of those little moments, because that's ultimately all you're trying to do when you're developing the game over the course of a few years is create those little connections with players. So when that you brought up this, the smashing the filters thing, that's 100% deliberate, and there's no part of that isn't deliberate. So when you're watching somebody play on Twitch and they're like, and then they start laughing when it happens, it's like, oh, awesome, they got it, and there's an obviousness to it, but even the subtleties of like the way he looks, the way the Doomerang kind of looks at it. There's the, people always talk about the beginning of the game, and Samuel starts talking to him, and then he throws away the monitor when he's riding up the elevator, and he kind of glances down at the body as Samuel's saying, it was all worth the price. Like you could just as easily have him get on the elevator and ride up and hear Samuel talk over the thing, but I think those little nuances that when we're going through it and somebody has a good idea and says, well, what about this or what about that, all of those things play into just building up that fantasy of who you are, and I think one of the things we're most proud of is like we created a pretty interesting character. Like, people talk about the Doom Marine and the Doom Slayer now as, he has a personality, and he has depth, and they're getting into his head, and he didn't say a freaking word the entire thing.
Did a lot. When I say did a lot, it's not like there are these narrative moments where even as a silent protagonist, he's still interacting in a scene with somebody. All in all, we're talking about minutes worth of narrative, like actual narrative in the game, which is pretty satisfying.
Yeah, little knuckle cracks, or again, the way he looks at the filters before he breaks them. It's like, the limitations that Hugo's talking about. Like, we knew that we didn't want any story to get in the player's way, and we wanted to do it in as efficient of a way as possible, because again, players weren't coming to play Doom for the story; they were coming to kill demons. But we wanted to bring depth to that. So
it was like they were like, I want this much of the game to be combat, and I'll give you that much room for story.
Right.
Like that's about what we were working with.
Right. So it does come down to like, okay, we got this much room. You look down, look up, punch, knuckle crack, those kinds of things. So to see people react to those things positively was awesome.